I feel the need for speed.
Hi, I'm Chucky,
Cause it's their time. Their time. Up there. Down here, it's our time. It's our time down here.
Welcome, Wardens of the Frigid North. We are back. Yes, we're doing Penguin tonight. This is not Frostcast. Frostcast is on Wednesdays at 9 Eastern. You guys know that. Let's not pretend we don't. I'm going to bring King Z, and we're going to get going right away because, again, Penguin, banger, probably my favorite show of the year. Lots to talk about, lots to break down. King Z, show yourself, and let's get underway here. Hey, there we go. I was going to say, do that thing. There we go. Now everybody's in the right place. Everybody can see what's going on. Okay, cool. All right. Now, full and total disclosure, I watched the episode today after work. Got caught up in that New World MMO situation we were talking about offline earlier. So I feel like I'm fresh on the episode, though. So this is good. This is good. Okay. Yeah. And believe it or not, for all your loaded jokes, you didn't actually blow anything beyond the whole I figured someone was going to get blown up kind of thing. So I do appreciate that. I'd like to point this out for our viewers, though. Don't ever type into the Google search. Don't ever type into the Google search Penguin episode 5 recap, because the effing first thing that stupid AI consensus thing says is so-and-so messes up and causes so-and-so's death. And to boot, it doesn't happen in this episode. Oh. I'll leave it at that. By the end of episode 5, we can see where it's who and what the situation is. They kind of set that up in the third act. And I'd like to point out ahead, I think that call, if it goes down, if that happens, the wolf was correct, because I did call that character's death when we watched episode 1 in episode 6, and it looks like we're heading in that direction. So, without any further ado, King Z, global thoughts on Penguin episode 5. You suggested the alternative title there, and I thought it was a good one. And still, listen, as soon as I got him out the truck and he was dripping, I'm like, that ain't water. they're focusing on it too much, man. I figured someone's going to comment on the smell, but now they were slick. They just played it straight up serious. This show's great, dude. What did you think of this episode? Like, where does it rate amongst the other ones, just right off the bat?
Now, to be completely fair, it's not as good as the last episode. That last episode was on a tier of itself, but it is par for the rest of this series. I am still enjoying the series. It still has great character development and character building. You're getting told a story. You're not being told a sympathetic story where you feel bad for the bad guys, but you're being told a story of where they're coming from. So I do like that. I think too many times today in series that they try to make you be more sympathetic of the villain. And in this one, they're just telling you what it is.
What happened.
And And that I can appreciate. And you get a deeper look into who these characters are as they go through what is unfolding in the events that is the season of the Penguin. So I really enjoyed the series. I'm really enjoying the series. I really enjoyed the episode. And I am actually sad that there's only 3 episodes left.
I know. Dude, I'm pleading to streamers, guys, bring back the 10 or 12 episode series format, please, for the love of God. Like, find it in your heart to go the Netflix route. Dude, how many episodes of Daredevil season 1 on Netflix were there? Like 22 when we checked, or 23 or something crazy. Remember that? Like, well, guys, we can do that. You guys have the money. You can make this show. There's no special effects besides Colin Farrell's fat suit in this show. Like,
which is like 3 hours in the chair, which is,
right.
I mean,
that is
a lot.
Right, dude, but it's not 200 million in CGI to make like Captain Marvel fly or to get Superman to like destroy a building. You know what I mean? Dude, I think you're right, man. This episode 4 is on a S tier all by itself, because Kirsten Milioti should definitely get some awards out of this. But I think this episode just picks up exactly what I wanted from 4 before we got that side gem that was episode 4. Dude, it's right after the crash. Oz is hanging out with Vic. He's like, oh my God, you came back. Don't sweat it. Because Vic was like, I know I messed up. And I was like, oh, is this the moment? But he just nonchalant torches the wrecked up Maserati, calls his little crew. And then it's like you said at the beginning, man, we continue to get 5 episodes in, subtle more little reveals and development about everybody that shows up. Vic is definitely endorsing, co-signing, signing on to this lifestyle. Like when they go to grab Marcone's son, he's the one that grabs him down off the fence when he's bolting and just starts raining the blow. to like put him down until Oz can catch up and hold him at gunpoint. Dude, everything Sofia does is some boss level shit. Amazing character progression with her. And I think you called it on her little psychiatrist. We'll talk about that later. I'm like, Scarecrow. Like, they're going to do some twist on that for sure. And dude, and it's weird. Like, you can gush about all these characters on this show and then talk about Penguin last, and it's still a banger. You know what I mean? It's not like you're coming down any meaningful ground or like being, oh, he's an also ran in his own show. I'm like, no, I think they really just powerhoused Sophia's character so well that she's selling it. Yeah. And I wanted to give you my first question about how you thought of her, because this character oscillates. She goes from the broken violence PTSD survivor to the growing mob boss to the psychopath. And we see all three of these things, right? Because we get the wounded survivor from episode 4 talking to the corrupt cops. Did you just come up here to tell me, to check out my dead family and swap pictures over beers with your buddies? And she plays it all off. She's getting a little, I don't know. I brought Gia outside. We get that girl. We get the mob boss with all of those amazing scenes down the stretch when she makes her play. But we also get the legit psycho. Like when she's got, and dude, guys, we're doing spoilers for Penguin episode 5. I apologize. Maybe we can do a light spoiler up front. She's got a particular person captive from the end of episode 4. If you made it through that far, that's not really a spoiler. She left with him. I won't say anything else.
Yeah, it's how the episode ended.
And right. That's what I'm saying. But for folks that are like 2 episodes behind, I don't want to, just mess anything up. She lays some torture on him in a way that's entirely consistent with what I would expect. And what I wanted to talk to you, what my question to you was like, I think a crappier show, particularly one that will remain nameless in terms of our agreement of not talking about that show. That show would have had Sofia go on a shooting spree, John Wick a bunch of people, outmuscle, a couple of sub bosses, and then violently torture the one guy she needs because she had an angle for him. Instead of cutting him up, beating him down, shooting him up, she literally just dumps ice water on his bare naked ass almost and just watches.
Okay.
So we got all these different dimensions to Sofia. Dude, what do you think of this character? Complex, overrated, too complicated? Like, go. Tell me.
No, she's an extremely complex character. And one of the things that we've talked about, and one of the things that, the big thing is like, the strong female character. This is how you write a strong female character. She doesn't have to do the same thing the guys do to be a strong female character. She's outsmarting them. She's using what she has, and she demands respect. And you see that as she grows in her character. Like, you see the flashback episode from last where she started, and then how she got to be the broken Sofia we saw in episode 1 when her and Oz go to lunch together. And then you see the progression of her going through everything until now she realizes like how broken the family was, how what happened to her mother, and her just moving into this role and then demanding respect at the end. Like, if, like we said, there's spoilers in this, the one guy she held captive and started getting what she wanted out of him, once he started butting in and like trying to take control, she put her foot down and showed him literally who is boss and that he has no say here. And that is how you do it.
No hesitation in front of the crew that she had assembled. And I'm glad you mentioned that part, because as you were talking, I didn't want to forget about this point. She's doing the strong female character thing so well that other shows ought to be taking notes. That part's easy.
Yes.
But what I'd like to double down on that. Not only is she doing it so well, she's doing it without defaulting to what those other folks think we want from the strong female character. Like, yes, that this woman's attractive. That black dress was next level sexy, but nothing about what she did at any point after she selected that very Hangman-like outfit, especially when she was wearing the cloak when she was in the crypt underground. You go back and look at some old cover shots of the original DC Hangman character. It's like the Harry Dresden duster kind of black trench kind of thing. So she's got sex appeal, but she's not using that to like collude with anybody or canoodle them into like joining forces. She's not sleeping her way to somebody else's organization. Like, no, she's a power player, and it just is what it is now. And especially with that last scene with Sal. Like, she like we could do it one way, or then she puts the gun down on the table. She's like, or we could try some other shit and take this city over.
And the other,
I love this mob shit in this show.
Yeah, the other great part was like he was talking about like how he's like Maronis and Fartones are going to, they don't coexist.
Oh, yeah.
And then she threw out the new family names like, no, we're not Fartones. We're Gigantes. Yeah.
Her mother's last name, and they played that up strong.
Yep,
for sure.
Like she's like the Fartones are dead. Now we're moving forward with this.
And the best part of that is that she's not playing. Like she literally destroyed her, and they wove that into her narrative also. It's like, no, my father's legacy's dead. From here on in, we don't mention his name anymore. You know, and then she talked up her mom and how her mom was like a force and she was too big for the family. That's why they disposed of her. They locked Sofia away because she had her own thoughts on things. You know what I mean? She's not taking anymore. And I love that scene. You could see where it was going when she asked the guy that she aligned with temporarily, extorted basically. Johnny Viti. Yep. She's like, I need untraceable cash. I know my dad has some. Show it to me. I'm like, the minute she said that, I'm like, well, we know I know what she's doing from here. She's going to obviously buy up support. And they get that great closing scene. And again, I didn't get to see the after credits stuff. Did you happen to watch that?
No, I had stuff I had to get done. It was also like almost midnight by the time I got done with the show because of stuff we had going on. So
that's right. We're talking about that. There's that one good part where she dumps the bag of cash out and she's like, I'll pay you what you're worth. Like, you got a new family, hop on board the pay train and let's roll it in for the big victory. Right. Yeah, and the one guy hesitates. But what I wanted to say was that she dumps the money into Viti's blood on the table. And I'm like, it's fucking literal blood money.
Blood money. Yeah.
I loved this show. And they all took it. They all witnessed it.
Yeah, she played on like how much they've been exposed and exploited. Like, my dad made all my money on your backs. He's like, if you join me, you're going to share in the profit. I'm going to show you money that you've never seen before.
Yeah, it's like mob boss socialism, but it's kind of badass.
And the best part was, like, before he took it, she dumped the money. Like, that's an open offer to take the money, but he stopped and he's like, he asked permission.
Yep, he had his hand out. That one dude with the chubbier guy with the beard. Yeah. I was not doing to myself. That's actually what the guy looked like. Yep,
literally asked permission. She's like, just nodded her head, and then that's when everyone else started eating. You could say.
Yep, and see, I love the other good thing I like about this show is we have two characters that are on kind of parallel journeys now, and we knew that once Oz split with Vic when the stuff was popping off in the alley with Sal Marcone's wife. And them stealing the drugs. Is Sofia and Oz are now very parallel, trying to do the same thing. They're both trying to rise to like absolute prominence by taking no prisoners and setting pieces in motion. What was nifty about this episode was it looked like Oz was on his way down. He was heading into a low point. He had to bust his mom out of her apartment and get her somewhere safe. The hit on Sal Marcone didn't go according to plan, and Sofia continues to rise. She's making friends. She's making moves. She's gaining loyalty. She's not taking any steps back. The episode ends on Oz. And that's why I love the show. He gets that one notch up because he finds a new base of operations after he had lost most of the payload of the mushrooms he was trying to recover from Marcone's wife, who had stolen them. They were going to exchange back as he took Taj Marcone hostage, which was a great scene. I love that at the beginning. Do you remember the beginning scene well, like how it pops off? He's getting the tattoo.
Yeah, I remember everything quite well because it starts off literally at the end of episode 3. Like, it picks up right at the end of episode 3. So at episode 5 picks up at the end of episode 3 and goes one direction. Now we're right back at the end of episode 3, but we went the other direction. Now we're seeing how the other half did. Like, this is how you do a flashback episode, but still keep people engaged, because now you're not doing a time jump and you're wondering what happened and how they got away. Now you're telling both sides of the story, but keeping the story flowing. So you get to them, and that's when they burned the Maserati. And he straight told Vic, he's like, you're worth 200 Maseratis. Just to have him with him, having that guy.
You came back.
And then he got all of his boys together. He gets all of his boys together, and he was talking about, like, he's like, when I eat, you guys eat. It's always been that way.
Always been that way.
So let's go do this. And then that's when they made the decision to go after Taj, and they come in and like he's getting a tattoo, like he's a moron. He's on TikTok talking about how he's going to be the leader of the family and like how they're taking Gotham back. And he's in there and he has his headphones on, listening to some music while he's getting his tattoo filled in. Actually, it looked like they were done with the outline, and he was doing the filling in at that point. And then all of a sudden, you see like the artist look around, but he's not hearing anything. He's hear the music.
That's what I wanted to talk
dying
about.
Around. And then all of a sudden he turns around and he jets.
I thought that was so slick, dude. I'm sure that's not the first. I mean, I'm sure like a John Woo movie like Face Off has done the whole. I know they've done the whole music over like the shootout scene before, but I thought it was cool to be in that dude's headset and have in the blurred background because we're looking over his shoulder towards the door of the shop, and Oz just comes in and you see the muzzle flash, blah, blah, but you hear the music, you hear a very muffled pop. And then, like you said, as the violence gets closer to the tattoo artist who stops and puts his hands up and like backs the F off because everybody else is getting smoked, Dippy Doo finally realizes, oh shit, there's blood flying all over the place, takes the headset off and then gets himself sucker punched he bails, like you said, he gets sucker punched outside because Vic, like I said earlier, grabs him up, throws him down, and he hesitates for like the quickest, but then he lays one on him just to stun him. And the dude, what about that stomp to his face that Oz laid on him though? That was fairly savage. I was like, oh, is this a hostage or did you just curb stomp this dude in the alley? Like, I don't know. You can't curb stomp his brains all over the place like that, boss. Like, take it easy, man. Take it easy.
Yeah.
But
what made that
it just hits.
So what made that work so well
was that they used a shadow depth of field. Like if they did it with a normal depth of field and you saw everything clearly in the background, I think it would have took away from that scene. But using a shadow depth of field and staying focused on him with everything else out of focus because he's not focused on it. It shows what he's
talking about
on, which is the music.
You're talking about the shootout part. Yeah. It was dialed right in.
It was totally on what his point of view was, what was going on around him. He was dialed into the music. That's why everything else is blurred in the background because it's focusing on it. I mean, that's just master.
Often, as I'm saying, I feel like this show does something like that. Like in the flashback episode, it was when Sofia was walking around, like opening the windows. It was a softer song. It wasn't in her world, obviously. It was like the score, you know what I mean? But she every now and again she has this little hop in her step, like she's all happy-go-lucky because she's a psycho that just committed like a mass murder on her family. But I love those little flourishing touches that let you know what's going on in somebody's head. Like you said, this kid was in the zone. He thought he's running the city because the first thing he says is, "My mom and dad won't stand for this crap," and that's what gets him the boot to the face. You know,
and which is a great play on words. Won't stand for this, and he gets a boot to the face.
And
yeah,
and I know.
The writing, the cinematography, the direction is just spot on. These are the type of directors you need for a show like this. And like, it's not a Scorsese. It's I believe they're pretty big names. When it's the female director, correct?
Yeah, because she was in I can't remember any of the cast of the crew's name. I'm terrible at remembering those, but she had a bunch of clips in all of the post-credit scenes that it's always the same person.
She's doing a fantastic job. Yeah. And it's not like that other franchise where it's like they brought in people who knew what they were doing. I said that other franchise, that other company too. Right. You know, the one that has amusement parks. They
they know who we're talking about. They know.
They try to like they would write something in there to like, you know, defeating the patriarchy or like making comments like that where it has nothing to do with mob life. This has all to do with mob life and what it would be for someone to make a power play to rise to the top. And that's what I'm loving about this. There's a way to
she defeated the patriarchy anyway. That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
Like she did the thing you guys want.
Yes.
Right. And nobody over here. Right. Nobody on our side is complaining. Oh man. Oh, they beat the patriarchy on this one, fellas. I guess we're going to have to not watch this crap. No, when you execute the story properly, it's exciting. It's enticing. It makes me want to watch again next week to see who finally slips up. Cause I thought we were definitely losing someone on Oz's side today. I figured it might be the girlfriend. Cause there was a lot of drama and tension in that scene where Oz is moving his team out because everything's starting to go wrong after the exchange, after they trade Taj back for the drugs. We'll talk about the family barbecue in a minute. So there's definitely some tension between them. So I figured, is she going to catch a stray? Is mom going to catch a stray? Is Vic, like, I figured one of those three, because we're right at, like you said, the show only gets 8 episodes. So if this is 5, they're still raising the temperature of the show. But I guarantee you next week shit pops off eternally, and not just like side characters in a shootout. Like a named cast member is done next week. They have to be. It's this type of show. It's Game of Thrones, but with gangsters.
Yeah. So like in any type of sports season, you have ebbs and flows through the season. Like you're going to have up games, you're going to have down games. It just happens. And that's what exactly they're writing into this too. Like there's ups and downs in this whole thing. Like Sofia and Oz were both on a high when they got that deal with the triad. Then they both dip down when Maroney comes in and steals their operation. Or Tony comes in, the wife comes in and steals their operation. And then she has her back up when she takes the family, but he's still on his downward trajectory. And he has to flip the script because now he knows he can't play Sofia anymore because she knows the truth. So his them playing Falcons is great. And then he comes in and like he's still going down. Like, and we're going to get to that part here in a second, but he gets what he gets his goal, but it doesn't get the same way he wants it, which is also really great. But then he has to find another way. It's not just, oh, let's go get this MacGuffin and everything's going to be fine. No, there has to be another level to it. And it's so well done. This one should win a lot of awards, and I hope it gets more viewership than it needs.
Dude, let me get you to bring up Fabio's chat. We got a comment in there about how Sal got out of jail. Dude, if I had to pick a nit with this episode or this series, it would be how operations are conducted on the inside like that. Like I get the whole, they have to give the mob boss some power and like kind of like a Carlito's Way thing. Like they're all on the payroll. So they bail when it's convenient. Security doesn't listen. Like these two had their exchange, Sal and Oz in like a meeting area, common room, but they show you 3 guards. You know, they show you 3 guards that are in close distance talking about, I've committed a kidnapping. I'm holding a hostage. These are felony offenses. And nobody seems to care because we all assume they're on the dime. My answer to Fabio's comment there is he got shanked and how do you get out of jail? Good, because Oz paid one of his guys to do the shanking. And then maybe some of Sal Marcone's guys like, oh shit, he got shanked. We're going to have to bust him out. But he said he stole the keys. It still doesn't explain how he checked through security, all the cams, all the walking patrols. I give you that. It was a bit of a plot contrivance to make that happen. But again, like King Z and I talk about all the time, if you do a great number of other things correctly, when you need us to suspend some disbelief so we can move a piece around the board and get the story to happen, I'm down. Like I'm game to let that happen. Yeah, what do we say though? Yeah, Batman. What we got? It's strange. Batman's not even mentioned by the characters. A lot of people dying, explosions. Batman sleeping. Dude, I mean, I guess that's the problem with getting the series done for real. They mentioned if you watch the whole show, he did get that very brief mention in episode 1, but I'm guessing it's a budget thing. Maybe they can't get Pattinson. Maybe they're holding on to a surprise for like the season finale. I have no idea. I think this show is that good. I think that there should be a season 2, and we're not done by any chance. I'm just following up to finish the point before I lose it. They should get a season 2. I think the views are strong. I've heard it's somewhere in the range and holding in the millions of viewers, which puts it at about 5, 6, 7 times minimum anything on D+ in the big 2 franchises over there with the Disney and the Marvel stuff. So I think, and again, I was saying to King Z, he didn't watch House of the Dragon this year. House of the Dragon was far and away the best show I had seen in a hot minute. And then the finale kind of fizzled. If the Penguin finishes on this pace, it's my show of the year, hands down.
Yes,
this is not even close.
This has my
not
vote
even
for
close.
show of the year, easy. I think that should be our thumbnail next time. Is show of the year continues.
Yeah, could be. Just put a pin in there, put it in the chat for me. You know what I mean? Because I'm happy to let other people know. It's no secret that we're both fans. Neither of us has had a down episode. And for you guys that are popping into this review and maybe the first few, we've decided we're not even numerically rating this one week to week because the product has been so good that it would really feel I would feel weird being like, oh, you know, compared to episode 4, the pilot was really slow. It wasn't. Shit was popping off every 10 minutes in there. You know,
it did what a pilot's supposed to do. But this
Right.
show is so head and shoulders above the competition that it doesn't deserve
Thanks,
a
Fabio.
numerical rating because it's just so much better. It's just
Yep.
from everything that's being put out, not just on that Mickey Mouse company over there, but every other thing. This is on a level and par with stuff like you said, like Game of Thrones early seasons, like Sopranos, Band of Brothers. It's on par with that type of storytelling, which is something we see a lot more from the Matt/HBO company as well.
Honest to God, you're not wrong. Another comparison I wanted to make between the Penguin and other stuff that you and I like to watch and cover a lot, like horror movies, is the fact that the Penguin kind of has, in its hour format, it's legitimately sticking to that whole, there's that old writing tidbit knowledge lesson that says, if you're doing a scary movie, something scary needs to happen every 8 to 10 minutes. That's how you build the pace. That's how you keep people engaged, how you keep people locked in. There's never a dragging 15, 20-minute segment on this show. Like everything is efficient, tightly done, pushes things forward. You know, I was saying to my better half earlier, excuse me, the best thing about this show is that I feel like every 15 minutes we get like a mini red wedding from early Game of Thrones. Like the part in this show, and this is a big scene to talk about, the family barbecue, which you very eloquently coined. I got to give you full credit for that. made me think the movie Sinister, because that was the name on one of the tapes, one of the murder tapes.
Yeah.
All right, guys, coming down with something. When we get into that scene, Oz shows up with Taj. He's dripping a fluid. We don't see what it is. You can figure out where it's kind of going because they focus on his brow dripping. It's dripping from his waist. It's dripping from his shoes. It's pooling behind him. And I'm like, okay, here, this is why King Z said the thing. Okay, right? But they're set up to make that exchange. So they're going to send Taj back to his mom and her gunner for one guard. In exchange, she's going to give back the shipment of shrooms that they stole previous week that they got away with because Oz bailed in the Maserati with Vic. So push comes to shove, and let's just say the situation is ignited. King Z, tell us about this scene, and then I want to talk about the fallout of that whole thing. Go for it.
So I'm going to tell you about the scene, and then I'm going to tell you what's great about this scene, because in these type of scenes, you could definitely tell when something's telegraphed. In most movies and television shows, you know what's going to happen because it's that type of scene. But you're doing the standard hostage exchange, same time, I don't know you type exchange. So he brings the boy out. He's in his skivvies. He's covered in a clear liquid, and he has his one guy who drove the truck there, who's going to drive the truck out.
Yeah.
So she's like, no, you don't get the truck until I get my boy. He's like, I
Classic.
know how this works.
Yeah.
He's like, because he went over, he sent his boy over to the truck, and the other guy stopped him because he wanted to check to make sure the shrooms were there and everything like that.
The other guy stomped the door closed and drew his gun. He drew a Tech 9 on him and was like, no. Leave the truck alone.
So he's like, he whispers and he pulls his headphones off because he had his headphones on, which is, I think, a great
sensory deprived his ass.
Yeah. And he took his headphones off and said, go to mommy. And he lets him walk over there. And then you see the gate comes, the standard double cross, how these scenes play out in movies. But it was predicted by Oz here.
Kind of, sort of. He had the contingency plan that you're going to talk about, but that situation still would have gone very wrong. Like I half expected his driver to catch one in the ensuing. But go ahead, walk us right through to the shootout, because some stuff definitely gets hot.
That's the standard, what people would think. Like the driver gets one. Now he has to drive out on his own under fire, and like he's going to get shot in the leg and be more injured. But no,
that's the trope.
They take the top gunners out, the two of them, without getting injured, and then he lights his lighter and throws it down, and you see the flame come up, and it cooks both the son and the mother. They both burned to death because he hugged her.
We're talking Marcones, guys. We're talking Marcones.
Marcones, yeah. And he hugged her, so there was a transfer of fluids there. So they played that perfectly. Like there's a transfer of fluid, they would both catch on fire. Now, of course, if they probably didn't use gasoline because one, it would have a heavy smell. They probably used something more like kerosene.
Kerosene is what I said out loud.
Because
Yep.
if you did it with gasoline, the fire wouldn't follow gasoline. It's the fumes that are flammable, not the liquid. So using a separate type of liquid would be smart and attention to detail, which the show has in spades.
I did. And if somebody had taken a bath in gasoline, you could smell it the minute the back of that van opened and he fell out.
Yeah.
Fact, not even close. Dude, I love that scene so much. I thought the CG was a little shaky with them burning, but I don't care. I honestly don't care if it looked like PS3 level, self-immolation Mortal Kombat, like we were talking Toasty earlier. You might have seen Kingsy's little, you might have seen his banner there. Dude, I love that bit. I love the shootout. I love that Oz's go-to gun is like, I think it's like a Mini Mac 10 or a Micro Uzi or something. It's very compact, but he just makes it go burp, and it's awesome. I don't know what it is. I just like him. I like seeing him using that instead of a standard 40 or a 45 or even a revolver of whatever type. It's just, okay, he knows he needs some firepower. He's not running any quick. He may as well bury somebody with a burst or two.
And see, if someone doesn't know anything about guns, Uzis are some of the most inaccurate weapons out there. The bullets literally fall down before they fly. So they're not, wherever you're pointing the gun, it's not, unless you control your burst, which he does. He doesn't sit there and just empty the clip. He does controlled bursts, so the rounds are going where they're supposed to, which is another attention to detail.
He's also engaging his target at like exceptionally close range, and just spray and pray is not going to miss him at the distance he was shooting. Now his buddy, who was unarmed and took the gun off of the first guy Oz shot, he took the Tech 9 and shot upper deck. That was a little bit more sketchy because of that. There was definitely some action movie trope going on there where, like, if you've got two guys shooting down at another guy not in cover, the advantage should be there. I mean, let's just be honest. You know what I mean?
Unless they're stormtroopers.
Unless they're stormtroopers, and those guys apparently were Marcone stormtroopers. They were just missing the dopey white armor, I guess. I don't know.
They were stormtrooper red shirts.
Yeah. They were the best of both. Hey, what would those guys be on Battlestar Galactica and Stargate? We're gonna have to look that up and maybe combo the four of them in there.
It's the actors whose name doesn't show in the credits. Yeah. Like they're not part of the opening.
Red shirt trooper number 7.
Yeah,
it's those.
You have
guys.
A number. Yeah. So the other part, and I'm going to stick with my attention to detail in this.
Go ahead.
The segment is there's a fire in a building, and what do most buildings have? A fire suppression system, and they wasn't
especially warehouses.
Water. Yep, they have. Yep. They are required to have a chemical-based fire suppression system. People usually use the standard water one, which, I mean, okay, you get wet. This one has more of a effect, was something that which he didn't take into account when he chose to burn them, because now the fire suppression system, it has direct access to the shrooms, so they pulled the tarp back, in which this has a huge payoff later as they get away with the product that they came to get.
Dude, it's an amazing payoff. And again, it does the thing, guys. We're not only are we big fans of character development and strong female characters on this channel. One of the other things Kingsley and I talk about a lot are setups and payoffs. We like smart characters that do smart things, but unfortunately, they still have to take setbacks every now and again. And here's Oz's setback, like Kingsley was just saying. They make out like bandits. They're out the door. They run through the warehouse door. It's all sparks and skids and fishtails, and they get it out of Dodge. When they get to their safe point, Oz checks the cargo, and all the mushrooms are rotted out. They're dried out. They're all ruined except for two little 40-gallon, not 40 gallon, you know what I mean? Like the giant white plastic buckets.
The Home Depot buckets, as I refer to them.
The Home Depot, it's a Home Depot bucket. It's exactly what it is. He's only got 2 left. Everything else is just rotten and like going to dust. And he has his freak out. He's like, well, fuck, we can't build an empire on 2 buckets. But it doesn't stop him. It's a temporary setback, which is what we need. That's how you let people, this happened, then this happened. So now this, I have a choice to make. It's an either or. It's not just one thing leads to the next MacGuffin hunt that I know you hate probably more than I hate, especially in this kind of stuff, because it's a mark of, we just didn't spend enough time to think about what somebody with an IQ over 65 would do. We just had to write something quick and we had to get it over there because so-and-so Kathleen Kennedy said we need to do 10 episodes and blah, 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 blah. Now this fires in space. No, you guys didn't need that. They made Oz do smart stuff, and they then gave him more later when we get to that big scene. But we got to skip. We did all the Johnny Vitti and Sophia stuff earlier.
The only other
we started
part
with that.
I really want to get to is when I want to talk about this as well, is that it had set up and payoff, because they set it up in episode 3, where he's like, don't touch it, because the oils could kill it, and one touch could kill the whole batch. And now you see when an environment changes around the mushrooms, that it had consequences.
Well, they give you one more layer of that too, because if we skip to the very end, after we'll get to the Vic and Oz's mom stuff in a quick second, but if we skip to the very end, when Oz meets back up with Vic and his mom, he's looking through some of the stuff she brought with them because they had to leave her house. She has a bottle of coins, and Oz recognizes it, dumps it out, and he happens to see an old subway token, an old underground trolley subway token, which gives him an idea. And blah, 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 end of the episode, he basically finds his own bat cave, and they specifically say in the dialogue, because they know, hey kid, you feel that? That's hot and humid down here. You know what that's good for? And Vic gives you the mushrooms, and you're like, yep. Because once again, it's a temporary setback. Yes, he caught a break that he remembered the trolleys, but the mom put the token, you know what I mean? Like if she hadn't grabbed that, he might not have arrived at that conclusion, but it still had to inspire thought, because as they're going down there, he's telling you all this other information about how my brothers and I spent a lot of time messing around down here. The tunnels go everywhere, connects everything. So we know that he probably remembers shit was hot and humid down there. Not lucky. It's already built into him. It's already a part of who he is, so it's not just a convenience to get him back on track. It was kind of well earned, well set up.
Yeah,
and paid off.
I think we covered a good portion of the show at this point. I think the only thing we need to still hit on is just the Oz Vic dynamic, and like how their relationship is growing. Because you did see that,
because I do have one more. I have one more segment.
Okay, so you have it where Vic is bought into this life. He came back. He left his chance to leave everything. He's back.
Let the girlfriend go.
He saves him, and he straight up tells him, "I'm all in." And he's like, "I knew it, kid. It's gonna be us. It's time to go to take what you want." And then they have the whole Taj takedown, and he's the key person who stops him from jumping the fence to get away and setting up so the Penguin, and then Penguin knows that that they know his family from the setup we had before. Good thing they're looking at you now. Now your family and everyone you care about's on their radar, and he still remembers that in his head. So the only person that they could really get to that would really hurt Oz is his mother. And we all know that we've seen her twice in the series now, so we know she has dementia. It comes and it goes.
It's progressively worse, though. It's bad in this one.
But what he says to Vic, after Vic almost left him, he's like, "You're the only one I can trust to do this." And because Vic wanted to be part of it. Because Vic had that.
Yes, I was like, put that in context. Oz is sending out the rest of his goons to go do some shit. Yeah. And he's like, "Oh, I thought I'd be with the guys." And he's like, "I know you want to get in the fight. You're the only one I can trust with my mom." I didn't mean to step on you, but I got really, really pumped for that, because I think their relationship is probably the growth of he was almost going to shoot this kid, and now he's his right hand. That's pretty slapping, like wolf and cub kind of shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm digging it.
Yeah, it's really well done. And like that's when Vic realizes that he wouldn't just ask one of his goons to handle this. This is personal to him. So he's like, "I did it right." And then it comes back to the point where Oz really knows he's in trouble after his phone call, where he gets a phone call from his buddy Mike, who was supposed to take out Sal. But he failed. From him. Didn't get a call from him. He got a call from Sal. So he knows his family's in danger. So he calls up Vic, and he's like, "I'm not." And the best part about leadership, and this is my leadership rant for the day, is you tell someone what needs to get done and let them innovate how to get it done. You give them the guidelines to let them operate. This way you can build trust and confidence in them. So if they do make a mistake, you counsel them. You say, "Hey, maybe you should have done this, but here's the final result, and we're close to what you want." You don't have to give them a step-by-step guide on how to do that. Right. That's micromanagement. And that's not what if you are what Oz is trying to become, you don't have time to micromanage your people. You have to give
she
them
die.
guidelines and you let them handle it. And this is where we're seeing the growth of Vic in this type of lifestyle, because he comes up with a great idea, even though it does have its own little issue that he has to slither by. But then, like, I'm just talking about the relationship now. We'll get to that part in a second. But then,
because that was my last. Yeah, keep going. Yeah,
where Oz shows up after he tells them where they're at, and he straight tells them, like, Crown Heights. He's like, good move, because Vic fell asleep and he's like, oh, I'm so sorry. And he's like, no, it's all right. It's just me. He's like, no, you did good today, kid. He's like, we'll bounce back. And just
do you remember why he gave him specific props? He gave him specific props for that plan, for that play, because it would be the last place anybody assumed Vic would want to go back to, because he was from there, and Crown Point is the section of town that got flooded out. And I don't think he had been back a whole lot. So he brought Oz's mom to the last place on Earth anybody would suspect that either of them would be. Yeah. And I like what you said about the micromanaging bit. You're exactly right. Like, he didn't give him a bullet point. Oz didn't tell him, hey, I've got a safe house on the Upper East Side at this address. He's like, no, kid, get in the car and go. If I was a kid, my ass is just leaving town. I said that out loud. I'm like, bro, why aren't you getting out all the way and like driving to Nebraska? Just go. There's money in the go bag. We saw it. We saw the money in the go bag in episode 1. You could drive as far as you want. But Crown Point was a good plan B until the last segment. And again, this gives you long range payout. But yeah, go ahead, run in real quick. And
the reason why you do that is, one, because you want to keep the story in Gotham, and two, location costs. You don't want to use a separate location and raise your production value.
Omaha. I don't need to see Omaha and Gotham. I get it. I'm just saying.
Or a fake metropolis.
Right. Well, exactly. So I'm glad, and it makes, and again, it ties back to, like I was just saying, we get a long range setup and payoff. We met the Squid character in the flashback episode at the very beginning, when Vic's hanging out on the rooftop, little rooftop party with his girl, some of his friends. Squid shows up. He's already outed as being kind of a low level, non-connected, but low level scumbag. Right.
Yeah.
So of course, as Vic's trying to hide Oz's mom in one of his other friends' former apartment, they almost make it there. But Squid, who he had pointed out on the corner, Vic had pointed out, happens to turn around at the exact right time and gets like 3 frames worth of seeing Vic leading an old lady into the apartment building. Now, he probably has no idea who the old lady is, but his ass is definitely going down there to check out what's going on, because he knows who Vic is, and he probably knows Vic's connected to Oz at this point. I wouldn't put it past him. He's a low-level scumbag in the know. So I'm guessing that's the scene. This is what's going to drive the Vic-Oz wedge in the next episode. Squid's going down there because maybe he's going to get some info for Marcone and Sofia. Who knows? This is probably going to result in Francis's death, in Vic's mother's death. I'm up guaranteed. There's no shot she makes it out of this episode. I don't know what Oz will do to Vic at that point. There might be a bullet. No idea. But who knows? Maybe Vic does some kind of sacrifice move. Maybe there's a mini redemption arc. But I love the fact that, again, not some rando junkie that sees Vic and Mrs. Oswald going into a building, and then rando meth head goes over to a payphone and is like, 1-800 Marcone hotline. I found Oz's mama and she's in this. Like, no, it's somebody you already knew and you were nervous about, you didn't like, you know what I mean? Everything is planted exactly where it's supposed to be. And I love it.
If you did have that, how would he know he would be on the lookout for them? Because they haven't sent any of that out. So not having that, it wouldn't have made any sense. Some shows would have made that happen. And it's like, hey, I saw some stuff that you guys might be interested in. What you got for me type scene. But if no one has an ABB out on you, what are you really reporting? And that's all it was.
Exactly.
And from the distance, you couldn't even really tell that it was Vic, because he had the hoodie up and stuff like that.
Yep.
And
they shot that blurry thing again. They shot it blurry again, like you said from the beginning
to
of the
show that there's a distance.
Yes. And he had to look around somebody that walked in his field of view, and when that person walked past is when you got just enough of Vic's profile that I'm pretty sure Squid knows. And he'll be going down there. Dude, I wonder if we ran back to episode. It was last week. It was 4. No, we met Squid last week, right? In episode 4, No, I don't remember when the
Episode
rooftop party
3.
was. I think it was
Episode 3.
Whenever it was. Somebody might have even have mentioned that he's low level scum specifically for Marconi.
His dad
like by name.
did. Because
Okay.
his friend,
Oh,
that's his
right.
friend's brother, and
Yes.
he's like that's his brother, not his friend. And he was
That's
like,
right.
and Ollie is a drop dealer. He's not a
Right.
troublemaker.
That's what I'm saying, low level scumbag, but not random scumbag. He, like I said, I think they actually used his family association with the Marconis.
Yeah, his dad or his
that's
mom
pretty
said it.
slap.
I can't remember which one, but it was like before he went to the rooftop. Because when
But
Squid
again,
showed up on the rooftop, you saw how uncomfortable he was. Because
Right.
he
They
knew
left.
he didn't think he was supposed to be there.
Right. And so he's like, that's when he was hanging with the girlfriend before he bailed.
Mhm.
Dude, I love that they invented a very minor side character who had 2 lines of dialogue up on the roof, Squid, who had like nothing to do except exist to make Vic uncomfortable to set up this moment 3 episodes later.
Set up
And have it make sense. Dude, it's such a banging good point. It's so basic. And I feel like if any of these shows that aren't doing this, like watch 2 good shows do it, it'll help solidify the idea for you, and then spend more than 10 minutes sketching out, we need Ahsoka to go from this planet to this planet to this planet, and then she needs a crystal, but then she needs Gandalf redemption, and then the end. Like, no, there's so much other stuff to do.
You don't need something something to happen or something be there to just move the plot forward. And if you do need it, because you have to move. You do have to move the plot forward. I mean, that is a true statement. But you don't have to make it so blatant and obvious. Have some subversion in it. Have some suspense. Just like you said, you didn't even see Squid in that episode. You heard his voice,
right?
Because he came up, he called his brother, and then all of a sudden now you have a character that you can tie to that voice. So this is how you do it. And if more shows did this, I think viewership in general would go up on shows, because people want to be told, in the bare minimum, we want to be told good stories. When we're being entertained, we want to be told good stories. We don't need to be preached to. We don't need to be lectured. We don't need people to tell us this is how you should think, and that's why we put in the show. Tell us a good story. Just tell us a good story. We'll all be happy. And then you can slide it in there all you want, as long as the story's good.
And it's astonishing to me how that always seems to fall apart in other shows that just don't want to put in the effort to telling the story. And then if you need to have a little narrative in there, like you want to put a little agenda in there, a little messaging, fine. You could put a pro this, a pro that stance in a show, as long as it's raking in views. It's obviously doable. Shows have done that for forever. That's that common holdup with things like Star Trek, where people want to tell you, oh, well, Star Trek's been political since the 60s. I'm like, no, Trek was written by people with IQs over 150. So they introduce a moral conundrum in an episode. They take a look at multiple sides, and then there's typically a compromise with everybody admitting their own biases and where they were at fault before deciding on a collectively, most cases, mutually beneficial action, unless there's combat involved. In like TNG. TNG shot a lot more shit than they did like creatively problem solve, but that's a whole different show. But the only other thing I want to just get any lingering thoughts on, where specifically do you think the psychiatrist bit on this show is going to go? Do you actually think they'll go Scarecrow route, or is he just a pawn for Sofia? Will they really make like a named villain out of him? Because like he's a psycho dude. Like, the good guy stuff is done. Like he's like, oh no, I saw that you murdering your whole family was good for you. I'd like also to feel that. Can I come with you? Like, holy shit.
Yeah, he's all right. And you could tell there was something lost in him. And plus the actor himself, these are the type of characters he portrays. So I was waiting for the shoe to drop, just based on, I know the characters he's that guy. If you watch Luke Cage and you know Shades, you know who this character is.
Oh yeah, that's right, dude. You said that too. You reminded me of that. I already forgot about that.
Yeah, and then the Netflix Marvel.
Yeah. The good Marvel. Dude, I could see them, and I did in my head canon, and as a geeking out fan kid, I'm like, this should be that they should have the spin-off, the backdoor pilot into the Scarecrow, because when we were talking about villains that we would want to see, that was obviously my pick, and it's right there. Like, that's the guy. Like, you don't have, and again, like when you wanted to do Clayface, which would be dope, But dude, we could shoot Scarecrow on a budget tomorrow for HBO. How would it be any different than the Penguin budget wise? You don't need anything more. You just tell a great story out of Arkham.
The only thing
you don't need
really
Batman. You don't need tech.
You need to bring in the level of actors that they do have in the show.
And writers and directors and you need that team, but you could do Scarecrow in a way that you couldn't do Clayface, Killer Croc, Firefly, Poison Ivy, Mr. Freeze. Oh God, could you imagine a Mr. Freeze show?
Oh, a Freeze show could be good. It could be good.
Freeze Rays in the real world. Freeze Rays in the real world. King Z. How?
No. You did. No. You're taking cartoon Mr. Freeze. Put Mr. Freeze in this world. Penguin ain't flying around in a super umbrella that has like 900 different things. Put him in
Freeze
this world.
Freeze is his entire thing. What does he do?
So
if I put him in this world, does he do nothing on theme? He's just a scientist that has the wife.
And he could use something in science that causes people to freeze. He could put them in cryogenical chambers to freeze them, kind of like a Medusa type character. So you could have.
He just can't have the gun.
He can't have the gun. He could be inflicted with a disease that he's keeping himself cold, and that's why they call him Mr. Freeze. His name could be something long in German that has freeze in it and got shortened to that.
Which I believe. I think that's the character's original name is that, and then it was Victor Free. I was thinking it was in Russian, but it was Friez in Stein or something. You know what I mean? It was something extended, like you said. Yeah, maybe we'll have to talk about that when we're done.
Yeah, that would be the key with it, is that you have to take them out of the cartoon world and put them in this world where they're being made more real, more relevant, more tangible.
Not Arnold
Schwarzenegger.
We should do that. Maybe we'll do that as a segment on Frostcast this week. Is I'll bring 10 DC villains, and then we can pitch how to do how can we make this work real world. But dude, let me get some last thoughts for you on Penguin episode 5. And then I got a couple of closing thoughts because we're almost up at our time.
The only thing I'm not liking about this show is that I have to wait week to week for a new episode. I want the Netflix drop. I want the Netflix drop so bad because I want to see
what happens. It's such a bad idea, though. It's such a bad idea because then it doesn't get people talking throughout the week.
It
doesn't get people talking a week later, though, because all you dickheads watch it the first weekend and then you're done and you're watching Hulu repeats again, Friends and Seinfeld and shit. But I got you. That House is good. Suits. I got to watch Suits. You keep telling me. But give me some thoughts on the show. What do you think? We know sort of what's going to happen next week, at least with the Squid and Vic situation. Where do you think the family stuff goes next week? What does Sal and Sofia do? Because they left that open ended. Are they going to align or are they not? I mean, they are obviously, but still. What do you think?
Yeah, I see this becoming the hunt for Oz. It's going to be that type of thing. They're going to be looking for him, and he's going to be using those tunnels to move his product and stuff like that. You're going to see, I might say that there's probably going to be like a week to a week and a half time jump.
Okay, that would make sense. I guess that would kind of make sense as they consolidate power and gear up.
Yep, and then as he tries to get his mushrooms out, like as you saw, I did see the preview, and you see him smashing up the glass.
No spoilers for that. I didn't see that yet.
Okay,
I didn't see that. I'll watch that.
Yeah, so the trailer's out for the next episode, so you can see some things that it's going to lead up to. So it's it's going to be fun. These next 3 episodes are really fun.
Do you think we get the giant rubber ducky floating device from Batman Returns in the sewers? Because remember that Penguin had
no.
I just wanted to connect those two. Just again, as like you said about a realistic grounding of a character. Again, Batman Returns Penguin did the sewer base thing, albeit in a different comical, dark comedy kind of way. But I just thought when they were back in like the trolley system, I'm like, underground, giggity. All right, there we go. That's some shit I recognize. Dude, final thoughts for me. Dude, I'd like to see Sofia do the thing with Sal and then finish the job and kill him. That way, the only two standing by the end of the show are her and Oz. I think that, and I think it's fairly predictably, I think, going to go in that direction. I don't see how Oz can reconcile with either of them. I don't think he's not going to be able to talk his way out of, he tried to get this one guy shanked and then he left this other chick on her knees in an alleyway at gunpoint. and they both know that Oz tried to turn them on each other. Like you can't there's no talking your way out of that. But I think he gets
the talking part's over. Like
done.
What made
Oz
Oz is done.
Is
it's how
over.
he talked his way into his positions and where he got to. But now it's time for him to run with it. And I think he's realizing that now too.
They're very much on the pace of Game of Thrones, where those last 2 or 3 episodes, especially episode 7. Episode 7, I'm predicting is going to be disgusting. Like plot pacing wise, it's going to be a blast. But I'd like to see Oz versus Sofia at the end. I think that we've got one more situation that they very cleverly did this a few episodes ago, where Oz is captured and he's getting tortured, which was savage. That set a great tone for the show going in. I think he's got one more close call with him, where maybe he loses either Vic or the girlfriend. Not Vic's girlfriend, the blonde girl. I don't know her name.
Based on I think Vic has plot armor, so he's going to be pretty safe.
Okay.
But I think if it's going to be either of those, it's going to be the girlfriend. She's going to take the stray that's going to set the world on fire.
And that's, I think that's a good way to put it, is it'll be the stray. But so you know what? Maybe the girlfriend goes first, and then the one that sets the world on fire should be his mother. It shouldn't be the girlfriend. It should be mom. But I think we're losing one, if not both of them, because I think Oz is already he's not embracing anything new. He's always been driven. This is where he wanted to go, for better or worse. Like he knows his life expectancy on the job is probably low. But guys, Penguin, HBO Max, ultimate recommendation. Dude, it could tank in the next 2 episodes, but like King Z said, watch it. You're going to be entertained through 5. I guarantee it. There's no way you watch the show and don't enjoy it. No shot. If you got any affinity for the genre at all, no shot.
If you want to be entertained on Wednesdays nights while you're waiting for the Penguin, you could come over to Frostcast Wednesdays 9 to 10 Eastern and watch us.
You did the thing.
If you enjoyed this,
do the thing again. See if I can camera frame. Dude, it's all backwards. Cool. Dude, I think that's gonna do it for us. I love talking about this show. We will be back Mondays going forward at about 9:15ish to do our live takes on Penguin episodes for as long as they last. But I'm not one for long goodbyes. King Z he's got a soliloquy for you guys. Big 50 cent word, King Z. Tell him.
Toasty.